Well, good evening, Broncos country. Well, and look at that, man. I'm throwing all different people up there. We already let the cat out of the bag, man. For all of you guys watching at home, we have a special guest already on the screen. For all those listening, I'll introduce him in just a moment. First, this is the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network, guys. In here talking a little bit of Broncos football, and man, I missed you guys, man. It's been too long, man. We had to cancel a Friday show. Life gets in the way sometimes, so I apologize for anybody that was tuning in, looking for the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. With Super Bowl the way it went, and as long as it went, we didn't do anything there. So we're back at you after a week. And man, here we are, guys. My name is Keith Brugman. I'm going to bring you all the way around the horn. I'm going to start down below. Say hello to the judge himself, Jody Moncrief. Man, it's been too long, Jody. Welcome.
What is up?
What is up? A little Broncos, man. I think that's what's Broncos. Up. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Been getting tons of teases from Sean Payton. Is Russ coming back? Is he not? Less about a month away, we will have an answer.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been about 30 days, a little over 30 days since we heard that. We talked with Russ. We're going to come to a resolution sooner than later. We got about 30 days left. We should have that answer. A guy who always has the answer. We're going to go zigzagging back and forth. It's our special guest for all of you guys. Wondering who that extra face is at home. It's Mr. Ryan Scoops Woodhams of the K&K Sports Show. And what's the scoop? Welcome to the show, Scoops. It's so nice to have you, man. It's a long time coming, buddy.
Very much so. I really appreciate you guys. Been watching the show frequently recently, and excited to be on this end of it for tonight.
We're excited to have you, man. Scoops, if you guys don't know, check out Scoops. What's the scoop? What Saturday? I'll let you do it. Plug your show for a second, Scoops.
Yeah, excuse me. So, put up by the K&K Sports Show on all of their channels on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Kick, all of them. Saturday nights, 9:00 Eastern time, so 7:00 Mountain time. My show is called What's the Scoop? We've been on since November, and I'll cover a little bit of everything depending on what the hot topics are. We talked a good amount about the Super Bowl on Saturday. Been talking more baseball now that that season's about to kick off. So I kind of cover. It's not really the same sports every week. It can kind of shift depending on where we're going.
It can shift. It can shift in a hurry. Scoops is a knowledgeable guy, man. I'll tell you what, he'll turn on a dime with a comment just like that, man. Always willing to jump in those comments, always willing to get you the answers. And that's why we got him here, man. The guy's quick. He knows his stuff. And we appreciate you jumping on, being part of the show, man.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, man. Zigzagging, man. Heading down to the Rocket Man, down on the launching pad, Mr. Trevor Salzman. Welcome in, sir. Oh, can't hear you, man.
There we go. Better?
Much better.
There we go. So, I was going to say the Rockets not exactly launched lately. It's been sitting on its pad, just waiting to hear about Russell Wilson because nothing is moving until Russell Wilson either is staying or he's moving. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, the Rockets, it's definitely on its way up tonight. I'll say that.
Yeah, getting ready to fuel up, ready to hit the launch pad, man.
Right.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's so right, Trevor. Until we get some answers, until we know what direction, we are going to have a lot of questions that, are unknowns. You know what I mean? It just puts so much up in the air, man. Never know what you're doing. Talk about being up in the air. Talk about being way up in the air. Talk about being a mile high. It's the Mile High Dutchie, Albert. It's been a week, man. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing peachy. Let's call it this way. And to answer Jody's question, 52 degrees. It's up here in 52 degrees. And Scoops, to know you a little bit more, how did you get your nickname?
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask the same thing.
So that was long backstory. I'll make it concise to say, when I started going to the Major League Baseball winter meetings when I was 14, I had started my own website. I was getting connections within Major League Baseball, particularly So I had, my grandfather was a diehard Met fan. He was kind of the main one who would be reaching out to me because he was trying to know, he was asking about questions, and he loved to say, "What's the scoop?" And so I would, share whatever I had at the moment. He passed when I was 15. So he, and then my close family friend, Coach DeBell, shout out to Coach DeBell, former NFL ref, actually. He kind of started calling me Scoop not long thereafter in the same vein, because of, the same type of thing. And it's stuck ever since. So that's, going on 8 some odd years with that.
Fantastic, man. Wow. What a story, man. Thanks for sharing, Scoops, man. And
Anytime.
obviously just goes to show you, we all don't know exactly what Scoops is capable of, man, because he's already been, hanging out with major leaguers, getting insider information at the age of 14. That just tells you a little bit about Scoops, guys, and what he's all about. You want to hit the chat board, the posse guys. Ernie Mays coming in here saying, "Go Broncos country only." Hello, Keith. It was a miserable Super Bowl game. I would say it was a miserable outcome. Don't like to see those Chiefs hoisting the Lombardi trophy. That being said, overall, I wouldn't say it was a bad game, man. It was, if that was 2 generic teams or 2 teams that I didn't care about, or I didn't know anything about football and I just walked in and watched the Super Bowl. Overall, pretty good game, guys. Pretty good game, I would say. Pearl's coming in saying hello all, saying evening, gents. Happy early Valentine's Day. Yes, don't forget. That's a last-minute reminder for all you guys that might need to be, getting those presents in line, those flowers tomorrow, making sure you're getting the fresh cut, Thank you, Pearl. Appreciate it. And, oh, hey, that's not Pearl. I got so many comments in here. That's Michelle Knoppers, man. I'm fumbling, guys. I'll tell you, a week off and I'm going to have some issues. So Michelle, thank you so much. And yes, happy Valentine's Day to you. That's maybe Albert's last reminder then. I'm sure Albert's got it all lined up. Pearl's coming in. Go ahead.
I hate being late.
That is very true, man. He probably already gave her Valentine's Day present 2 days ago. That's how much Albert likes being late. So, Pearl Sam coming in, she's saying, "I have to watch a pup, but have a fun show." Very good, very, very good. Hey, we got Mr. Hey, what do we call him? The Roundup royalty, the king himself, right now, sitting above the top. Good evening, Keith, Jody, Albert, Trevor, big orange and blue hearts. We already know who that is. A clap that came over from the East Coast, the K&K Sports Show style. That's Mr. Michael Ronquillo. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you so much for jumping in. And like I said, truly Roundup royalty as well. Pearl's coming in saying, "Agree with you, Keith. I was depressed with KC winning the darn Super Bowl. Not again, not back to back." And that's a great lead in, guys. It's our first topic of the night, man. Gonna go ahead and I'll bring it all the way around, just like the way we introduced you guys. So we'll start off with Jody. Jody, I got 3 questions for you. We'll try to do this rapid fire. We'll go to you, and then the next guy, and then the next guy. Are the Chiefs a dynasty? What does it mean for the AFC West? What does it mean for the Broncos? Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. What does it mean for the Broncos? They got work to do. But one thing I want people to keep in mind, when Patrick Mahomes became a Chief, he couldn't read a defense. He couldn't do any of that. And great coaching has gotten him 2 league MVPs and 3 Super Bowls. So with Sean Payton as this great coach, why can't he do it with Russ?
Why can't he do it with Russ? Why can't he do it with that rookie that comes in like Mahomes was? It's a lot of questions that we'll have to have answered. Like I said, questions that'll be up in the air. Maybe he's doing it with the much maligned, much hated bridge quarterback among many Broncos fans. We do not know. It's all up in the air, guys. Scoops, are the Chiefs a dynasty? What does it mean for the Broncos? What does it mean for the AFC West in general? What is your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, so I do think that at this point they can be considered a dynasty. I said I think that they had to win this game in order for that to happen, and obviously they did. And of course, they did it in the dramatic fashion in which they did. I took a bit of a different tone. I don't think it actually means a ton, and I'll explain why. The Chiefs' core, even if as they stand to lose Snead and Jones this offseason, their core of Hunt, Veach, Reed, all the way down, Kelsey, Rice, all of them, was going to be the same one way or the other, regardless of how this game went. So they already knew they were going into 2025 facing this team pretty much as constructed anyway. So I don't think it changes all that much. I think what changes the Broncos and the division more is, as I'm sure you guys have talked about, the LA Chargers bringing in Jim Harbaugh and marrying that with Justin Herbert. I think that's and the offensive minds there, and Greg Roman, Day, Marcus Brady. So I think that if I had to say what I think it means for the Broncos in the AFC West, I think that weighs more than just bringing back the same guys that you've already been competing against for the past couple of years.
Good point, man. Competition getting a little bit stiffer. It just doesn't have. It's just not the Chiefs. Looks like the LA Chargers might be more competition than they've been for us in recent years. Trevor, Rocket Man, about ready to take off. What do you think, man? Dynasty for the Chiefs? What does it mean for the Broncos? What does it mean for the AFC West?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to kind of say that the Chiefs are a dynasty at this point. I mean, they're just there consistently. I mean, they're not even just winning Super Bowls; they're just getting there consistently, and they're always in it. They always have a chance. And I mean, again, it's just I don't think it's just with Patrick Mahomes. That defense is something special as well. I mean, really, it just kind of shows like, yeah, you have to have a franchise quarterback, but you also have to have a good complementary defense. The defense will step up, and they really shut down Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers, and they've done it. I mean, just everybody thought this team was regressing. Patrick Mahomes regressing, and he turns up when he needs to. I think it's a dynasty for sure. How long it's going to be a dynasty, we'll find out. I don't think they're losing Chris Jones. I think they'll franchise tag him. But I think what it means for the Broncos and the AFC West, it just got, again, they got work to do. It comes in many ways. This roster's got a lot of holes in it. A quarterback, so I think it starts right there. You got to figure out the quarterback position. Is it Russell Wilson or is it not? If not, how are you going to address it? Where's the upgrade? That's the biggest question of the offseason until we get an answer on Russell Wilson. And the defense of the ball as well. You got to have a good defense. This Bronco defense was not good this year, guys, and they've got to get a better defense. And it starts up front. I mean, who's your Chris Jones? You don't have it. You don't have it right now. You've got it. You've got to have it. I mean, so just a lot of work to do, a lot of holes to fill, and we'll see what happens going forward. But again, Harbaugh in the AFC West as well. That'll be a problem. I'm not sure this year, but it'll be a problem in future years.
Hey, you want Chris Jones? Go get Chris Jones. He'll be available. No, I'm just kidding. We're not in the market for that. But what we are in the market for is Albert's thoughts on this. Albert, living there right in the backyard. Going to have to hear it for a while where you're at, buddy. But Chiefs win again. Chiefs, are they building that dynasty? Are they that dynasty? What does this mean for the Broncos? What does it mean about competing in the AFC West?
I think they are a dynasty, but it only is a dynasty because of one person, and that is Andy Reid. He put this all together. He got the coaches. He got Mahomes. He put all this together. And without Andy Reid, they would not be where they are right now. And what does it do for the AFC West? I think the AFC West is probably is most likely the toughest division going to be in the AFC and maybe in the entire football league. Because now with Harbaugh going to the Chargers, the interim coach that they had with the Raiders is doing very well.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce.
And as it is, I think it's going to be very, very, very tough in the AFC West. And I think it's going to take a while before you can really determine a winner at the end of the season.
Yeah, you're right, Albert. You look at it and you have three top coaches in the league as far as most are concerned. And then you bring in Antonio Pierce, who, was interim, but man, did he have them playing like Raiders, like everyone thought the Raiders should play. Like it just had that feel, kind of that kneecap mentality, bite him in the kneecap mentality that Dan Campbell brought to the Lions. It just felt that way, and it felt like Raider Nation was kind of getting a resurgence at that point. Do have Ernie Mays coming in saying, no, they're not a dynasty. You have to win 3 straight Super Bowls in order to get that. That's his standard. That's a tough standard.
Can I ask a question off of that?
Yeah.
What's everyone's definition of a dynasty?
Oh, very good.
Because I'm an Astros fan and I get told, well, you didn't win 3, so you're not a dynasty. So what's the definition?
Good point, because Ernie May is, like he's saying, not a dynasty unless you win 3 straight Super Bowls. So that's his definition.
I think you got to win 3 and 5.
3 within 5. 3 within 5, you get it done. That's obviously how the Chiefs qualify in your mind in this particular scenario. Scoops, what is your thoughts for an NFL dynasty? What do they need?
I don't know if I have a specific, it has to be this number of rings in this number of years, but I'd say after you've won your second, if you're still looked at as the standard in your league, I think that's a pretty good indication that not only, because you've obviously had multiple years of success in a short period of time, but you've shown no signs of slowing down.
Very good, man. Very good. Definition not defined by numbers all the time, according to our good friend here, Mr. Scoops. I like that, man. For an analytics guy, wasn't the way I thought he'd end up going. Trevor, how do you define a dynasty?
Yeah, I mean, I just think you got to be realistic, though. I mean, 3 Super Bowls, that's really hard to do. I mean, that's like next to impossible. And same with for the Chiefs. I mean, teams are going to be coming after them. I don't see how that's just insane. And then winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. So I agree with Jody. I think it's 3 out of the 5. He won 3 out of the 5 years. I think does qualify as a dynasty. And you're consistently 11, 12 wins each and every year throughout the postseason, and you're just AFC championship games and stuff like that. That also comes into mind, not just Super Bowls, but also what else comes with it. Like they're not going 12 wins and then dropping down to 9. There's not a big drop off in between those years. So to me, that's a dynasty in my opinion. It's just the consecutive winning seasons, the Super Bowls on top of that, and where they've been at in the playoffs advancing. They're not getting knocked out game 1, in the wild card or anything like that. So they're already a dynasty in my opinion. I agree with Jody.
One thing I would say is I think you need to sneak a Super Bowl in there because the old Bills that lost 4 in a row. No one thinks of those guys as a dynasty typically. Albert, what is your definition of a dynasty?
For me, a dynasty is, of course, you have to get in the playoffs multiple years in a row. But one of the things that I think that is part of a dynasty is that your core personnel is there. And I think that is what it is. You have now seen Andy Reid, Mahomes, Kelsey. They're the core of that offense. And that I think that is part of the dynasty too. Now they have Chris Jones in the defense. The defense is stepping up.
Yeah.
So they created a better system. So they can make it more and more into the playoff. And that to me is a dynasty.
You hit almost exactly what I was going to hit. If to answer your question, Jody, I think if you get 3 Super Bowls with the same quarterback and coach combination, I think you're talking dynasty at that point. However many years that takes, but if you have the same coach, same quarterback, and you win through 3 Super Bowls, I'm going to have to consider you a dynasty at least in my opinion. I'm going to hit the comments really quick. Boy, you hit it right on the head. Jody Pearl's coming in here and says, if the Chiefs head coach retires, I feel the Chiefs may be different. Michael's coming in here and saying Patrick Mahomes is on another level. I will say this, man, I never seen a guy so cool, calm, and collect when the game was on the line in a Super Bowl. It's been a while since I've seen that. He'd look like it was just a regular season game out there. Michelle's coming in saying Andy Reid knows how to read his people and make the most of them. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, until someone beats the Chiefs in the NFL playoffs, there'll be a headache for years to come for all NFL teams, not just our Denver Broncos. Ernie May says 3 or more straight Super Bowls. That's his definition once again. So, gentlemen, let's move on. We have like I said, a full agenda that we have fully planned. I'm looking at trying to find all my agenda notes here. But I want to get on to a little post Super Bowl. Start back around. We'll start at Albert and go back around. Albert, post Super Bowl, all of a sudden, Broncos country lit on fire. Twitter, social media, you name it, it went ablaze as the Duke himself was given the Lombardi trophy and went through a sea of Kansas City Chiefs players, handed it off, was on stage with them. A lot of people had issue with it, man. I want to know, is this a big deal or do we need to get over it? Simple. You give me your answer and then a simple explanation of why.
Get over it. This is a sport to entertain the entire nation. And it is, yeah, there is rivalry. But in this case, John Elway handing the Super Bowl, it is a friendly gesture. It is a competitive sport. And it shows that everybody is involved and there does not have to be hatred. And that's what I think.
There you go, man. So get over it. Trevor, what are your thoughts on this? Should we be disappointed in the Duke, or do we just need to let this roll off our backs?
Yeah, I think this is really silly. You know, honestly, I think there's bigger problems that we need to figure out than John Elway, you know, handing a trophy out to the Chiefs. Like he he actually knew that it was the Chiefs. I mean, they probably asked this guy in like August or September. How the heck is he gonna know who was winning the Super Bowl? They didn't ask him the day before the Super Bowl. Like he isn't gonna know. You see the Kyle Shanahan he's handling it too, which again, that's probably a little awkward because I mean he should have hired Kyle Shanahan, just saying. But I mean, as far as the Chiefs, you know, like he didn't know. So no, it's nothing to John Elway. It's really silly that it's even a topic. I don't even know where this came from, honestly.
Well, I can tell which agenda topic Trevor was most excited to talk about tonight, so I appreciate it, buddy. No, it's true, man. Obviously for him, it's man, we need to let it go like we're in Frozen. You got to get to Graham's comment because he says can't stay, but good evening, guys. He's also saying it's cool to see you guys got Mike McDaniel on the show, head coach from the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, absolutely, man. Get this guy a hoodie. We're all set. Yeah, I need to get Jody a drum set, man. Play school drum set, something, man. That'd be awesome. Scoops, not Mike McDaniels. Okay. Mike McDaniel, sorry. Not Mike McDaniel, but what are your thoughts on this, especially from an outside perspective? I would expect that you'd be in line with the other two guys.
Yeah, so I can see why fans might not like it, but I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, once you're out of the league, you're a part of the Broncos history, obviously, but you're not a part of their current organization. You're there as a representative of the sport, the game, the league. I will say, I think it would have been kind of cool to see it. Now, like you said, they probably planned this a while in advance. I think it would have been kind of cool to see Joe Montana do it because he won 4 titles with San Francisco. And then he spent 2 years with Kansas City. Now he's like, oh, okay, now I'm delivering the trophy to the other team I played for. So I feel like that would have been kind of cool. But no, I don't think that the Elway thing bears much of an issue.
Very good, bud. We'll round it out with the judge himself. Jody, what are your thoughts on this, man?
The same as everyone else. I think it's a non-topic. I did see something, and I don't remember who originally handed the trophy to Elway, but he was like the
Larry Zonka.
So he was MVP 50 years ago, Elway 25 years ago.
Yep.
So they had like a little thing going.
Oh, that's cool.
Just so whatever. It's just Broncos country needs to worry about bigger things than who. If you don't like Elway handing the trophy to the Chiefs, get better and let Elway hand the trophy to the Broncos.
Do have Travis coming in on the other side, man. He's saying Elway is a traitor. Pat Bowlen is rolling over in his grave. And I will say for the at least attributed quote of Pat Bowlen, say you never root for another team. It was very, very difficult. But like some said, man, this might have been planned out in October for all we know. You know, you don't know who these teams are going to be. You don't know who you're handing out towards. And Jody, very, very well put. That's exactly what it was. 10-year MVP. 25-year MVP. Now we have our 50th, obviously, that'll be coming up as well. So just cool stuff. I guess it was tough, but hey, here's another one. Kenny says, I disagree. Elway did not look happy to be there. That was a fake smile. LMAO. Scoops, as a Yankees fan, would you want Derek Jeter handing the trophy to the Astros or the Red Sox?
I mean, as a Yankees fan, I wouldn't want either of them to win the American League in the first place. So,
boom.
Yeah, I see his point.
Yeah.
It was like a double whammy for Elway. I mean, the Chiefs, a hated rival, and then on top of it, like Trevor said, this is the guy that could have been in Denver.
Yeah. Shanahan, McCaffrey. You know, these are all guys that, you know, you'd think would have ties and actually had ability to be in the door for the Denver Broncos. So yeah, it was not a perfect situation. It would have been a lot easier if it could have been, well, any other two teams, quite honestly. So we do have Facebook user. I was going to try to catch up to see who Facebook user was on this one. This is Travis again. He says, who cares if it was planned? The minute KC won, Elway should have said, nope. that would have been pretty funny, though, if you found out he just ducked out and Larry Zonk was just out there wandering around looking for him. So that being said,
but I
guys,
think it means
Go ahead.
something, though. Like, he knows that he's witnessing greatness with Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be in that HOF club when he retires. So they're all brotherhood. You're not going to, you know, come between that or do something to. I mean, that's a sacred club. Why would you not want to welcome someone into it?
And not only that, like they said, where are the opportunities now for John Elway to be in the spotlight again? You know, he's done, he's gone, he's out. You know, he'll have fewer opportunities in the future where people will come calling. And here you are, you get a call for the Super Bowl and say, hey, we want to celebrate your the 25th anniversary of, you know, the winning the 25th MVP. You know, we want you up there. We want you handing off the trophy. You'd be like, yeah, man, that sounds really good. Now, they didn't get to say, hey, we already wrote the script and it's going to be the Chiefs. That's a different story.
Right.
That's a different podcast. Guys, we're going to get on to, I want to hit one more topic before we jump into some really big topics, but departures and arrivals, man. I'm going to start off with Jody. We'll go back around just like we have been. Jody, Christian Parker out, Jim Leonard in. That was the big one that I want to talk about. What do you think about that arrival and departure?
I think it's a neutral, really. Jim Leonard, I think he was on the practice squad with the Saints like in 2013. He's got a little ties with Sean Payton. He's got DC experience from his time in Wisconsin. So he brings experience. He's former safety for the Broncos as well. So I like the hire.
Nice. I like a neutral hire, though, man. I don't mind you going that way because, quite honestly, there was obviously high praise for Christian Parker, saying that, hey, Jim Leonard comes in and it's a neutral move. That's not a bad situation because, like I said, high praise for Christian Parker. Scoops, I know that you're over there probably reading the comments a little bit, but that being said, what are your thoughts on Christian Parker, Jim Leonard, and maybe I didn't really pose it that way to you in our agenda. So if you have other off seasons, arrivals, and departures you want to talk about, feel free to, elaborate.
Yeah, no, excuse me. I don't have, a much different opinion on that particular move, but I think that Broncos fans were probably just clamoring at some point because of how it was. I think they were probably just clamoring for some semblance of a disruption. The fact that something different is going to happen next year is automatically, I think, in their minds, an upgrade. Whether that proves to be true obviously remains to be seen. But I think that the fact that they brought in Leonard, like you said, and they made a couple of the other moves. Now, again, going back to a year or two ago, they had like the number one defense in the NFL. So how much of that is coaching? How much of that is personnel? We're about to see.
Very true, man. Obviously, we had a completely shakeup as we've been going through either quarterback or coaches. So new quarterback or new coaching scheme last year as VJ comes back in, moving on from Vic Fangio. Now we get Jim Leonard, but we lose Christian Parker. What are your thoughts on that, Travis?
Yeah. So I mean, with Leonard again, he's a guy that has interview with the Packers DC job back in the day. So I mean, again, he's a guy that's probably, if he does well, could be someone that this team possibly loses next offseason. I mean, and again, if Vance Joseph doesn't perform very well, and the defense is regressing, then maybe that's when Sean Payton makes a change. I mean, it's possible. That if other teams around the league think about Leonard like that, I wouldn't be surprised. But also Christian Parker and Marcus Dixon, those guys, again, it's all about connections in the NFL. Fangio with Parker, and then with Dixon, he was a Hackett and an Evero guy, and he was also with O'Connell there with the Rams, and O'Connell was the OC there with the Rams. So That's another connection thing. So I'm not surprised that those guys left. They're from previous coaching staffs and previous coaches brought them in. So you're starting to see these kind of this coaching staff kind of turn over more and more as time goes on. And maybe they're not even done yet. So we shall see what happens. But it's Sean Payton's going to end up bringing his guys in no matter what. So.
Yes, we've definitely seen that. I think saw that at this point we've seen complete turnover from the prior staff. No one has been left over as far as coaching personnel now that we've seen these last few changes. Good call out on Marcus Dixon. We will, as Scoop says, we will find out whether it's coaching or personnel now, as we seem like we invested a little bit in the defensive line over the last few years. You talk about Jones, and we talk about now I'm blanking the other name, the guy that we brought in last year, Zach Allen. Thank you, appreciate it, Zach Allen. But really didn't get the results that we were looking for. We'll find out if it's the talent on the field or if it was the coaching. But Albert, what are your thoughts on this? Christian Parker out, and Jim Leonard in, or some of the other arrivals and departures, if you have thoughts on those.
Finally, a coach that did not come from the Saints. Woo! So yeah, that is a nice surprise. Otherwise, we still would like to be more and more the Mile High Saints instead of the Mile High Broncos. So that's something I'm glad for. And this guy has ties with the Broncos. He played for the Broncos in 2012. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that finally not a Saints coach.
I bet you're super stoked about Davis Webb, our quarterbacks coach, man. Had like no ties there, man. Came over from the Giants. That was fantastic. Yeah. He was just a player. Jeez. No, maybe we're starting to see Sean Payton not being rushed to put a staff together as he was trying to also, do games and wrap up with Fox last year and then become a Broncos head coach quite quickly. Seems like he leaned a lot into the Saints, but you're right. Went a little bit off script. Didn't go with a Saints guy. Went with Jim Leonard, all college history as far as coaching is concerned. So, very good, guys. I got to tell you guys, I haven't even mentioned to any of these guys on screen. I'm going to get to the comments here in just a second, maybe catch up on a little bit of our discussion here, guys. But we have a brand new sponsor, and I'm super, super stoked about them. It's the name of our new sponsor, one of our new sponsors, maybe even more. Albert's waiting on bated breath. I love it. It's called Morgan Trinkets, guys. Started in 1990, once sold nationwide in shows all across the nation, but now just in northern Colorado and Cheyenne as far as the shows they do. They specialize in Southwest jewelry and pottery, as well as estate gold and at wholesale prices, guys. Again, Morgan Trinkets is the name of the company. Started in 1990. That means they have over 33 years experience, guys. These guys know what they're doing. So when it comes to silver, for instance, they have pieces starting from $10 up to $2,000. All of it sterling silver. They have real gold, all real gold. I'm talking 10, 14, 18 karat gold. Free shipping on any order over $50. Telling you guys, I didn't have time to get images up and on the screen, but boy, it's beautiful, beautiful pieces. And like I said, with 33 years experience, they know what they're doing. You can find them at Morgan Trinkets on Facebook, guys. That's the way that they transact online. Obviously, if they're in the northern Colorado or Cheyenne area, they'll be telling you all about it there as well. Morgan Trinkets, again, specializing in Southwest jewelry and pottery, as well as estate gold at wholesale prices, guys. Fantastic company. If you do run into them at a show in person, they take all major credit cards as well. So check out Morgan Trinkets. I'm going to see if I can drop that in the link for you guys. And if that's the case, follow that. If not, I will drop it in a little bit later here in just a moment, but I think I got it right about there. So check that out in the comments. That's Morgan Trinkets on Facebook.com. Check them out today. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Brand new sponsor, guys. Fantastic. Good to have you on, Morgan Trinkets. So let's catch up on the comments. Albert jumps in. Albert and Michelle. I imagine this is Michelle, but from Victoria Friend of Scoos, my friend Victoria had a comment and said, Go Astros when Jody talked about them. So
Thank you for putting that up there.
absolutely. What else we got? Michael Ronquillo, a big Taylor Swift fan, saying thank goodness that Taylor Swift, or at least the coverage, is finally over. Won't be inundated with that on our football Sundays. At least we can tune out and we don't have to watch the Chiefs on their run. Kenny's coming in and saying, Jim Leonard, good college coach. NFL is big jump. Thought it, but I think it could work in the long run. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Sorry, I'm stumbling over comments tonight. I really like this Jim Leonard hire for sure. I believe I've had a few comments come in. By the way, guys, if you're over on StreamYard, or if you could go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, guys, allow StreamYard your access to your profile, then we get your picture and your name. If not, just drop it in the comments. But he's saying he really likes the Jim Leonard for sure. So, all right, guys. I'm going to get caught up, make sure that I don't have anything else. Pearl's giving us a big hearts in there, so appreciate it. All right, guys. Sorry, stumbling over myself a little bit. Like I said, a week off, and I'm just like out of the mix. But I wanted to get to Radio Row, guys. Radio Row was hopping with a lot of different people, and Sean Payton was making his rounds. He talked a little bit about Russell Wilson. He talked a little bit about what he's looking for in a quarterback. And I want to get around to each and every one of you guys and say, get out your tea leaves, get out your tarot cards, get out whatever crystal ball you may have, Albert, and tell me, what did you read into what Sean Payton was saying on Radio Road? I don't know where I was last time, but I'm going to start with Jody and go zigzag like we have been. So Jody, what are your thoughts about Sean Payton on Radio Road?
I don't know that he's sold on a college quarterback. I mean, he said it multiple times that he needs a quarterback that can make quick decision making in this 5, 6, 7 second window. There are not those quarterbacks in college. I mean, when you're looking to the sideline and getting your play off a board on the side, or the play call in is like 2 or 3 words. That's where I think the realization is coming that Russ may be back. But then I also look at it the other way, and is it a shot at Russ? Like, hey, he couldn't read it in 5 or 6 seconds, and this is why we had to make the move. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know if he's getting pressure from above to, hey, $40 million cap hit is going to kill us next year. These 2 years are going to kill us.
Yep.
What are you going to – then we're going to go pay more for a quarterback that may or may not get you better results. So I don't know what to read in it. It was all weird to me.
Yeah, it seemed like it was both sides of the mouth a little bit, according to Jody, and I can see where that's coming from. Scoops, what did you read into the comments? Did you get into those the crystal ball? What did you see?
Yeah. So I kind of agree with a little bit of what Jody was saying, just regarding not necessarily both sides of the mouth, but it just kind of felt like there was a little bit of murkiness regarding the actual direction going forward. Kind of felt to me like maybe the Broncos, and I'm not sure exactly what purpose it would serve, but kind of maybe felt like they were trying to regain some sort of illusion of like maybe some sort of bargaining power or some sort of leverage or some sort of that. Again, with the intent on potentially releasing him, I'm not sure exactly how much that would affect, but Wilson still has a pretty solid reputation, seemingly as at least a leader. But he was willing to force his way out of an organization that he was the face of for a decade. So my question would be, why would he do the Broncos a financial favor, like that sort of restructure type deal, after they threw him so far under the bus, he flew clear across the highway and took a bath in the river? Like, I don't understand exactly what the end goal would be for Russ on that side.
Very, very true.
You know what else I thought was weird is he takes these little shots at Russ and then says we have a great relationship. He always has to mention that, like, but where have we ever seen a great relationship?
Yeah,
it's never on camera.
It's all behind closed doors, man. It's all behind closed doors. It's part-time lover situation. Trevor, your thoughts on Radio Row?
Yeah, what's Russell Wilson's number again? Oh, sorry. I mean, again, I mean, the whole number thing with the quarterbacks, I don't understand that either. I mean, what? So you're telling me you haven't looked at college quarterbacks at all? First of all, if you have, then, I mean, why are you still secretive about it? Just say, well, yeah, we're evaluating. B, if you're not, why haven't you? This is one of the biggest decisions in franchise history, and you are not looking at it right now, and we're a few months away from the draft and have to go through free agency. I mean, first, but I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I don't buy it. I think he has looked at quarterbacks. In fact, he knows Caleb Williams' number pretty well. I mean, a couple years ago, he talked really highly of him, said that, oh, yeah, we need to have a draft lottery for this type of quarterback prospect because he's this good. So, I mean, He's kind of partially lying right there. So, I mean, it's just got a lot of smoke. He's not going to tell you the truth. I mean, he's going to, whatever behind closed doors, is stay behind closed doors. He's not going to leak it unless, I mean, it's going to help the Broncos. And again, the whole thing of Russell Wilson possibly coming back, I mean, I don't think he's ruling it out completely because I think he knows there's not a surefire upgrade out there right now, but I still don't see how that relationship's going to work out very well. And they're going to have to decide here pretty soon because the 18th of next month, they're going to have to decide on his option. So his guaranteed kicks in for 2025. So they're going to have to really, I mean, there's going to be a decision here pretty soon. If Russ doesn't restructure, I don't see him back. That's just what it is. If he restructures and if he truly wants to be in Denver, then I think that there's a chance. But without restructuring, I don't think they bring back Russell Wilson because you're signing him up. You're signing up for Russell Wilson for 2 years with that being guaranteed on the 18th. That $37 million is guaranteed for 2025 as well.
Yeah, we even got absolutely. Russ wants to come back. Russ wants to come back. So, Albert, are we looking at the Wizard of Oz? Are we having to pull back the curtain and get a whole different look? Is this all just smoke and mirrors? What are your thoughts about Albert's? Albert's not running the shots. He'd be coaching this team completely different than Sean Payton. Albert, what were your thoughts on Sean Payton's thoughts on or comments on Radio Row?
Yeah, to me, right now, Sean Payton's comments is like a foghorn. It is like a boat in the mist. You know the sound is coming. You don't know where it's coming from, and you don't know where it's going. And that is what we have now with Sean Payton. You don't know what is going on. And so it can be this, it can be that, it is black, it is white, it is never something in the middle. And you really don't know if you have him by the head or by the toes. So that's what it is. It's
very good.
Blah, 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 blah.
Very good.
One thing that I
have a feeling that Albert would be coaching the Broncos a little bit different than Sean Payton. You're one thing, and then I got a comment on this as well, and then we'll move along, buddy. What do you got, Jody?
When people say that Russ would just be crazy to restructure and leave that kind of money on the table, think about if Russ it's more than just him. He has kids and he has young kids, and that's pretty rough on him. They moved from Seattle. 2 more years, they're going to move to wherever again. That's 3 schools and what is that? 3 schools in 4 years. I mean, that all matters. Something that no one, that you don't think that no one thinks about when he already has loads of money. He's generational wealthy as it is.
I think, and just to add to that, and then I have one quick question, and I want to get just Scoop's thoughts on this from an outside perspective. But my thoughts on this is people don't also weigh the fact that, yes, Russell Wilson's under contract. There's nothing that says that the Broncos just don't say, okay, well, you're going to be under contract and you are going to be where you were at for the last 2 games. You're going to be the number 2 guy. We're bringing in anybody, and it doesn't matter who it is. You're going to be the number 2. Now, you can either do that or we can renegotiate or we can do, you know what I mean? How do you want to play it? They can play hardball too. Everyone thinks that this all sits with Russell Wilson and his ability and his to sign whatever team and get paid all this money. But the Broncos can play some hardball too if they really wanted to. They could be those guys if you really wanted to. So Pearl's coming in saying 100% Keith. So I don't have all that bad of an idea. Scoops. If Russell Wilson was out there as a free agent quarterback in this market that we're talking about, we're talking anyone from Kirk Cousins all the way down to, I don't know, Taylor Heineke. where would he rank for teams?
Pardon me. I definitely think he would be up there. I don't think he would be. I think just because of the recent, which I think sometimes gets understated and underrated, success of guys like Kirk Cousins, I don't think he just off of name and past he would be first. But I don't think he'd be that far down. I think that I could probably say right now, 7 or 8 teams that I think would at least upgrade just in terms of playing their next game, chance to win their next game, would upgrade by bringing in Russell Wilson, even if he's not, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, even if he's Denver Russell Wilson and not Seattle Russell Wilson.
There you go. Appreciate it, man. Martin's coming in and said Russ won't lose anything. He's getting his $80 million for the next 2 years, regardless. The only thing the Broncos want restructured is the option to release him in the 3rd year. So, and that's certainly a possibility as well. Oops. Didn't mean to hit that. I meant to jump that one down. And this is our good friend Clayton coming in saying, hey, guys, smash that like button and share. Clayton, I appreciate it because I'm a bad promoter of my own show. Denver Bronco Roundup. Make sure you're, like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube, Twitter, formerly known as X, Facebook. What else? Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You name it, guys. You can find us no matter where you go. Please, please, please. We love getting out to and in touch with more Broncos fans just like you. So, all right, guys. This is going to be, I think, the most interesting part. We went out there and we've tried to figure out, and this is going to have to be somewhat rapid fire with the time that we have left. We might even just cut off our very last agenda item as it is and call this our last one, guys. So, top 5 position we must figure out this offseason, guys. Top 5 positions we must figure out this offseason. Let's give it up to our guest. I think this is the easiest way to do it because we kind of came up with one as a group. We kind of put our minds together. We kind of came up with a group one, but Scoops came in with one of his own. So let's just hit this right off the bat. We'll go start off with number 1. So we'll see how many of these we lined up on because and I know that you guys probably have your own votes at home or your own list at home. Albert, Jody, Trevor, you might just completely aligned with Scoops. We kind of had a conglomeration list. So Scoops, number 1 must figure out for the Denver Broncos this offseason is?
Number 1 must figure out, and I went a little bit, you might say unconventional with this one, because I think they need to figure out if Sean Payton is going to be the long-term coach over there.
Oh.
So I actually put head coach as number 1 because I don't think that he's shown really much to say, oh, I've locked the job up here. The Waltons, they can throw money down the river. They can write him a check to, stay home and bring in somebody else if they need to. So I don't think it should be overlooked that they could potentially be in play for a Belichick or a Vrabel midseason, or if they want to go the younger route, a guy like a Ben Johnson who did not take a job this year for the 2nd year in a row. So I actually that actually was my number 1. Number 2, you want me to go through my entire list?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I know that we didn't have head coach, man, but I'm going to get back to that one here. Actually, let's take a timeout. Let's take a talk because I think that's like I said, not on our list. I think it's worth discussing right now. So I'm going to go across the top, head over to Albert. Albert, we didn't have head coach on our list. I don't think anybody even mentioned head coach. We didn't go that route. But what are your thoughts on Scoops and his thoughts around Sean Payton being number 1 on this list?
Yeah, I agree with Scoops. Sean Payton could be the one that is out next year if he doesn't have a winning record next year. If he doesn't improve what the Broncos is, he might be really on the hot seat and be bye-bye after his 2nd stint. Yeah.
Agreement, and I kind of expected it. I'm going to go to another expectation. Jody, where would you put now that head coach has kind of entered our list? Would you put head coach right at the very top? I know that that's not where we had him because we didn't have a coach on our list. Where would you put head coach on your revised list?
I think it's high because he brings up a lot. Drew Brees this, Drew Brees that. That's in the past. There is no Drew Brees is a top 10 all-time quarterback. So you need to move on from that and start adjusting to what's out there. You got really lucky finding Drew Brees or getting, signing him, and the chances of you finding another top 10 all-time quarterback are probably not very good. So you got to show that you can do more than just Drew Brees.
I would say if he was out there saying Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston and all the time, I don't know how Broncos country would take that either. You'd probably want to hear the and I know that's a tough relationship when you have a quarterback and a coach. I mean, look what's happening with Belichick and Brady at this point. Hey, now all of a sudden Bill Belichick has completely fallen out of favor in a lot of people's eyes, and all the credit is given to Tom Brady. It's a weird relationship when you're paired together for that long. Trevor, thoughts on head coach being a number one position that we need to figure out this offseason?
I mean, I definitely think the Sean Payton clock is starting as soon as Russell Wilson's gone. I mean, there's no more excuses, but what I would say to that is they didn't just hire Sean Payton off the streets. I mean, they had to give up premium draft capital for him, first and second round draft picks. So, and they're paying him $18 million. So we have no choice but to trust him. Again, the head coaching carousel here in Denver is not working. Always firing head coaches after year one or year two. That's never going to work out, and you're never going to be successful in the long run when you don't have any consistency. Quarterback and head coach, this team is constantly in a market for a head coach or a quarterback. It ain't working, guys. You have to buy into some point in time. And I get why, we don't want to buy into Sean Payton, but it's like we have no choice. We have to, because they've given him the power. Now, I don't agree with a lot of decisions he's making. I'm very critical of Sean Payton. I have since day one, and he wasn't my top guy. Nor do I think he was the Broncos' top guy. But this is what you signed up for. So, we have to trust him. I think, again, realistically, I think he gets a 3-year window and we got to start seeing progression. Because, again, that's his clock starts as soon as Russell Wilson's gone. It's his offense. He has to run it the way he wants to. He says right now, this is the whole kind of, reason why Russell Wilson's not back. Part of the reason is because Russell Wilson can't run his offense. He wants to run his offense. Well, problem is your last 2 games of the season didn't look very good. So we'll see. It starts as soon as he picks his quarterback next year and his offense. Let's see how it goes, because it didn't look good year one. So,
yeah, and this is what I'll say. When it comes to the head coach, I always heard and I believe it takes 2 to 3 years for a system to be developed before you get your coaches in place, before you get your players in place, before that draft pick that comes in is developed and is capable of actually playing at that full NFL level. It takes a little bit of time before you can really see it come together. And if it's not coming together within 2 or 3 years, then yeah, we need to start looking in different directions. The only place I'd say I differ from you, Trevor, is I'll agree with Scoops. The pockets are deep, and yeah, you've already spent those draft picks, so it's here nor there. If you want to move on from your coach, you move on from your coach. And as much as that doesn't help the consistency and I think the overall culture of the Denver Broncos, it's something that I unfortunately could also foresee happening, as we've seen it happen time and time again.
If you're going to eat Russell's deal, what?
That's what I mean.
That's where my mind went as well.
Minute compared to that, it's small.
Yeah, it's the draft pick, but the cash doesn't hurt you at all, right? You can pay $100 million to the coach that you don't have on the staff anymore. It doesn't do anything for your cap. As long as you got the deep pockets to do it, keep on rolling, right?
No,
but that draft pick hurts.
What does that show to ownership, though? Are they gonna bite that bullet? Because it wasn't George Payton that brought in Sean Payton; it was Greg Penner. So is Greg Penner going to bite the bullet? I don't see him do it sooner rather than later. I think it's going to be, again, a 3-year window, and we'll see what Penner wants to do. But he's got to be patient, because you can't keep switching head coaches and quarterbacks and all this other stuff. You move on from Russell Wilson and Sean Payton in 2 or 3 year span. That's tough on an organization to rebound from.
There you go. All good points, guys, man. I'm going to get to a few of our lists that our viewers have. So Pearl's coming in. Her list is QB, pass rusher, wide receiver, tight end. I'm sorry. I want to start all again. QB, pass rusher, wide receiver, right tackle, and center. Kenny's coming in. of the fantastic K&K Sports Show, friend of Mr. Scoops there. Check out the K&K Sports Show, guys. Again, all sports, all the time. East Coast Flair, the K&K Sports Show. Fantastic guys over there, our cousins in the industry. Check them out. Kenny's coming in saying QB, tight end, running back, edge, and then linebacker. We have Michael Ronquillo coming in, his top 5, QB, defensive line, wide receiver, tight end, and linebacker. I feel like I almost said the same thing twice. A lot of these are going to be very similar. And Michael even has he has a top 10 because he also puts running back, right tackle, left tackle, cornerback, and safety to round out his top 10. Moving along, Scoops, number 2. What do you have on your list, buddy?
Yeah. So I did put, they have to figure out QB, and I won't belabor that too much because that's been talked about a lot. But in terms of a fit, I wrote Bo Nix's name down here, draft prospect out of Oregon. He's been, he can handle the cold weather. He's played on the West Coast, has the ability to impact the game, mobility, and is needle point accurate. He's number 1 rated accurate quarterback in the draft class. He also doesn't have the concerns of turning the ball over. He's also rated number 1 in the draft class in that. I would have loved to put my favorite quarterback in this draft is Jaden Daniels. I would have loved to put him here. I just think that he's going before where the Broncos are picking, and I doubt that anyone who wants to take him is willing to move down that far. So, but I think Bo Nix, if they take him, is a very solid pick for them as well.
Scoops, I apologize. Between the laughs and the comments, who is your they can't get but would be great pick?
Sorry, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Very good, man. Appreciate it. This is the one that got me going on. Jody's number 1 guy. Ha, ha, ha. And talking about Bo picks. So, guys, let's do it this way. QB was number 1 on our list. Let's put it this way. Obviously, I think, Scoops, you're in the same agreement. Number 1 would be bringing Russell Wilson back for a plethora of reasons. That being said, solutions in the offseason, if you're moving on, Bo Nix is the name that comes to mind for you. Is that the way I read that, sir?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think I commented on a show a week or 2 ago. I offered up those 3 scenarios, and I don't think that it makes a ton of sense to not bring back Russell Wilson. You're paying him anyway.
Yep.
I know this kind of contradicts what we did just say, but I think that just from a standpoint of, who are you going to put on the field that gives you a better chance to win, from week 1, it's Russell Wilson, even at what he's been in Denver, especially for the money that he's already, making, and, that they'd have to pay him if they got rid of him anyway. It's a little different because that is salary cap money, and that is, an allocation that, you have to assume that you'd be drafting somebody at that point, because what are you going to do? Bring in another veteran and pay 2 veterans and one of them's not playing? I don't know. I feel like it gets hard to make a lot of sense of it, especially if the contingency plan for moving off Russ is not bringing in a first-round quarterback.
Very good. I'm going to move over to Albert along those same concept lines. I know that Albert's along that. I think we all are, honestly. Number 1 plan, best plan, bring back Russell Wilson. And then, Albert, if you can, come up with a solution number 2 and talk about that. Quarterback was our number 1 on our list. You get to kick it off for the DBR guys.
Okay, so what would be the number 2 selection? Defensive line.
No, I'm sorry. I'm still talking about quarterback. I want to get your thoughts on that one, buddy.
So bring Russell Wilson back. No doubt about it. And if you can't do it, then and they don't want to draft one, bring Drew Lock back. Get Drew Lock. He can do it. He has proven it. He has shown it at the Seahawks, and he never really got a good chance with the Broncos. And maybe this head coach can get out of Drew Lock what he can get out of him.
I like it. We've been talking about different bridge quarterbacks, different guys to bring in. A lot of different names have been swirled around, but the one that has been kind of quieter is a Drew Lock return. And here's a guy that you won't have to invest in a ton. He, at the same time, it's not gambling on that rookie that you don't know what type of quarterback he's going to be in the NFL. You have a little bit of understanding. If you think he's coachable, maybe it's a Drew Lock. Trevor, what are your thoughts? We'd all like Russell Wilson to come back, if nothing else, just from a financial standpoint, if it's not Russell Wilson, we should go.
I would go the bridge quarterback route and then draft somebody in the later part of the rounds, like a Spencer Rattler. I like in the 3rd, 4th round. But a guy for me, Ryan Tannehill, and again, I know people are not high on him, but again, his situation with Tennessee, I mean, that wasn't a great roster. And they took away Brown from him and AJ Brown and when he went to the Eagles, and that really hurt him. And then you have a declining Derrick Henry. I think you bring him to Denver, you surround him with playmakers. And then Spot Track has him at 1-year deal, almost $5 million. That's what they have him, his market value right now, according to Spot Track. So that wouldn't be, I mean, that's like nothing for Denver. And I would also get rid of Stidham. I would cut Stidham. Maybe you bring in Winston. So you have a quarterback room of Ryan Tannehill, Winston, and you have Rattler. Then let them battle out for quarterback 1 and go from there. And then build through the draft. Though I'm not big on drafting quarterback in round 1 if you're not in love with this guy. I will say one guy that would fit perfectly in Sean Payton's system to me is Drake May. That guy is, just so damn accurate with what he does. Every pass he makes, in my opinion, is really, really accurate. And of all the quarterbacks in this class, he throws one of the best deep balls, in my opinion. He would be a perfect fit in Sean Payton's system. But again, you're not giving up premium draft capital for a 3rd offseason in a row. So for me, it's trade down, get more picks, solve more issues, get more bites of the apple, sign a veteran quarterback or 2, and then draft a rookie in 3rd or 4th round. Very
good, man. Like we were talking a little bit before we got on the show, we could spend an episode apiece on each one of these positions. So I apologize if we have to run through these really quickly. But you did bring up a thought in my mind before I go over to Jody and get his thoughts on this. And I want you to maybe lead in with this, Jody. And now if I can remember my thoughts real quick here. The thought that came to mind, was Sean Payton and saying, I don't really care what the NFL, plugging into the NFL, radio and listening in and listening to everything they say. I don't care what they say, where a guy is at or where they value him at. I'm going to take a guy where I see fit. And I thought that was another maybe tea leaf type of moment into maybe what we're talking about at quarterback as well. You never know where this guy's going to get it. He pointed out the fact that they would have passed on Kamara if they would have used the analysis that NFL had on him at the time. They had it higher. They picked him where they did, and they never looked back. That being said, we might be in line for a quarterback. Russell Wilson is option number 1, I know, in your mind. But if we don't go Russell Wilson, where are we going, Jody?
I don't really know. It's either got to. If it's not Russ, it's got to be a rookie. I'm not wasting. I don't care 5, 2, whatever. I'm not wasting that on a bridge quarterback. To maybe get better production. You don't know if you are. I'm gonna either draft the quarterback round 1 or trade back, get some more picks, and look at like a Michael Pratt round 3. But I got to bring someone in here, and he's the guy day 1, and you roll with him. I'm high on JJ McCarthy, but
would you take JJ? Maybe. Would you take? Oh, go ahead. You were going to answer my question. Yeah.
I don't know that it really even. It doesn't even really. It doesn't matter to me. You get him at 12, get him at 28, but you're not guaranteed to get him if you trade back. So if you're high on the guy, get him when you can get him, and roll with the guy and develop the guy. Don't do like Denver did with Paxton Lynch. I know there was other circumstances there, but you've got to develop the guy. You've got to let him be the guy day 1, and he's not out there battling with Jared Stidham for a starting job. You give the keys to this guy and you develop him and you go with it.
Yeah, quick opinion from me, because I know we got a lot to get to, guys. For me, you go get them and you do whatever it takes to go get your guy. If you really feel that great about a guy, and in this quarterback class is supposed to be better than next year, a lot to still be determined. But if you see your guy, you want your guy, go get that guy. And if that's the case, and you're like talking like top 3, top pick, and you've sold the farm, I'm right there with you, Jody. He needs to be starting right away. I don't think that's anything that you wait on at that point. So
one thing for me is when you hear this quarterback don't have upside or whatever, what Drew Brees was not a runner. Drew Brees was not really a mobile quarterback, but it was all what he could do right here in between his ears, and that's what Sean Payton wants.
Yep.
And so he doesn't care. Drew Brees didn't have a huge arm. I mean, if you watched him, he lobbed a lot of passes. He was accurate and stuff, but it's all how he processes it, and whatever you can do between right here, that's what he wants.
Especially saw that later in his career, much like you saw with Peyton Manning. It was more about the processing, less about the arm and the talent.
Right.
I think Brees definitely had an arm at one point and could wing it down the field pretty good. I saw a recent quarterback competition when he was going for overall distance, and for a guy that was that short, he competed pretty well. It didn't take away top prize, don't get me wrong, but he got it down the field. So, but let's digress out of that. Scoops, we're continuing down your list, I guess. We'd be on number 3 on yours, sir.
Yeah. So, excuse me. My number 3, I had, excuse me, I had D-line. Other than Allen, I don't really know who I'm comfortable with up front in a 3-4, especially at the nose position. My fit would be now former Bengals lineman DJ Reader. Most recently, he was the linchpin of their D-line. He holds up, the middle of an O-line, freeing up your other guys to disrupt the QB. Potentially be had a little bit of a lower price than normal due to an earlier injury, but this may allow the Waltons to put their financial might in other places.
I like it, buddy, and I appreciate the quick response. And a DJ Reader, a guy I like a lot. So, Albert, that's funny enough. We had this as our number 2. I mean, outside of that quarterback, we're right in line. QB, defensive line. What do you think about the defensive line? What's the solution as we head into this offseason?
Yeah, besides Zach Allen, we need to shore up our defensive line. The way it is going right now, it is not going at all. And if you shore up the defensive line, guess what? Who's going to get it easier? Linebackers. So you don't have to worry about the linebackers. We can Jewel and Singleton there as the linebackers, and with Drew Sanders there, you have a really good trio there. So shore up the defensive line, the linebackers will resolve itself.
Absolutely, man. Again, Scoops, I like your DJ Reader. That would be a good one as well. I want to throw one more out there, guys, just in between as we go into Trevor next. Remember, we do have a Wazirike that should be or have the possibility of coming back. That's a guy that I really like to step up from that 2022 draft. Trevor, defensive line was on our list. We would love to see some improvement. It wasn't all that beautiful last year. What's your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, again, other than Zach Allen, you have nobody else who can get after the quarterback, and you can't stop the run to save your life. So, I mean, you're going to have to address that in free agency, and I think in the draft. That's why I say maybe you trade back. There's a lot of good defensive linemen in the draft that I think you can also look at. Another position that you need to start getting a little bit younger at. I don't know how big. I love DJ Reader, but I don't know how big they go as far as defensive line again in free agency. They did that with DJ Jones. It's not worked out very well. I mean, Reader's supposed to be predicted to make $15 million a year. I just don't know that they go that route. Again, a guy for me is Marcus Davenport. That's the guy for me quickly that I think that might be a fit here. What didn't have a good year here this season in Minnesota, but in 2021 when Sean Payton was there in New Orleans, he had a great year there. And he said that might be another guy as a bounce back candidate that will be cheaper than a Reader, which again, a lot of bounce back guys that Denver needs to start looking at more than likely with limited amount of cap space that they have. And they need to spread that cap space out and not just put it on one or two positions.
Yeah, it's going to be a interesting offseason. So how we put where we rely and how we rely on different avenues in order to put this roster together is going to be key. Do we spend big on D line? How do we fix that position? What's the solution? Jody, the judge, what are your thoughts there, buddy?
Yeah, I had D line as one of my top just as well. You couldn't stop the run, and you can see teams, they are focusing on running the ball. It's one of the knocks that I give Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. Run the ball, feed your running back McCaffrey. The run simplifies the game. It shortens the game and all this, and we couldn't stop nothing. We gave up big chunks. Teams didn't have to do anything. Hand the ball off and run for 8, 9, 10 yards a game or, a play. It was easy for them. Until we figure that part out, it doesn't matter if you have all world elite rushers. They're just going to run right up the middle, and doesn't matter.
It's why it's high on the list, right? It's why it's high on the list. We looked like a sieve at many times last year, and if teams really wanted to dictate a run, especially late in the game, it seemed like they were able to do it. It's something that we need to figure out. Again, we may find out if it was talent or coaching. We will have a new defensive line coach at this point, so maybe that helps as well. Scoops, we move on to your number 4, I guess it would be at this point. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, so actually, this is a position I haven't seen on any of the lists that have been fully shown up to this point, but I have center. Cause excuse me, I saw Quisenberry is a free agent. When we've seen how important the center QB report can be, especially if they do bring in a young QB. I actually like most of their O-line other than their that one tackle they have. But as a fit, I looked at bringing in from a division rival, actually, Andre James. If you can get him on a 3-year, he's the same age as
Cushenberry.
And rated comparably, and actually was rated a little bit higher in some respects this past season at the position. So I'd look at potentially James coming in to replace LQ the third.
Very good, man. Center, not necessarily on, I think, on any of our list. I think you're absolutely right, but it's one of those ones that may be a concern. The possibility of Cushenberry moving in. We have guys like Alex Forsyth or a Wattenberg that might be on this list and might be able to fill that position. Might have to look outside as well. Scoops, I appreciate you bringing that one to the table. In our position, in the number 3 position, was tight end. I'm going to start off with Dutchy. I'll bring it back around to Scoops so he can maybe have a little bit of time in case it's not on his list. Albert, tight end has not been a place that we've excelled like we've wanted to. I think it was on your list. It certainly made our list as a group. What are your thoughts around tight end?
Yeah, if Brock Bowers drops to 12, pick him at 12. We don't need a QB.
Snatch him up.
We don't need a QB. We have a QB, and if you have Brock Bowers in there, then any QB can work with a tight end. That's my call.
Yeah, I like it, buddy. And you talk about, just talent that translates no matter what. Brock Bowers might be that guy. Might be one of those all-perennial, all-pros. Looks fantastic. Tight end, man. Head down to Trevor. What are your thoughts, Trevor, man? A position that we need to get some production out of. Certainly didn't see it last year. Where does the solution come from, sir?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because you have so many different holes, and again, where would you want to spend your assets? Is that wide receivers, at tight end? I don't know if they're going to be able to fill all of them just with the lack of draft capital they have currently and where the cap's at. I don't love having the tight ends and free agency enough to give them big money, so I would go against that. I think you got to do it in the draft. I think at some point in time, but Greg Dulce is going to have to come back healthy as well because just where you're at with the captain and everything with lack of draft capital, you're not going to that guy's probably not going to start day one unless it's Brock Bowers. Then he's starting day one, obviously. But if it's a guy in round 2 or 3, they're probably competing for the tight end spot. So competition for sure. It's a position where I think Denver definitely needs to upgrade because you haven't had a real tight end since Julius Thomas back in the day. So vertical threat tight end. So I mean, it's really tough, but it's probably a position that maybe next year they start improving. It's really tough this year with what they got. I think they prioritize receiver more than I think tight end this year. Unless Brock Bowers falls there, and then you're running that card up to as fast as you can up to Roger Goodell.
you never see that clock get anywhere close to like the 1 minute mark. The Broncos are just running. I like it, buddy. Yeah, it would be fantastic if Bowers fell. You never know, guys. Our last subject was supposed to be about the combine. You see a lot of risers, fallers, people jostling in position, especially down the stretch. You never know what's going to happen. There's always that shakeup too. Always that shakeup. So, Jody, tight end was on our list. Where are you getting our solution for tight end as it's a position of need in the offseason?
There's some free agents I like. I like Dalton Schultz. I like Hunter Henry. Fingers crossed Brock Bowers falls. I mean, that's the guy that I've said if it's not a quarterback, it's Brock Bowers. That was just a killer. I mean, when Russ had Jimmy Graham in Seattle, he was putting up 600, 700, 800, almost 1,000 yards one season. I mean, that was just, we were missing it. Troutman, Manhurts, they bring nothing in the pass game. So, I mean, I think that, to be honest, that's more important really to me. If you keep Jody or Sutton, it's more important than a wide receiver because I'll roll with Brandon Johnson and I'll roll with little Jordan Humphreys and some of these other guys that'll probably be back. So, but you got to find a tight end. You got zero production there this year.
Yeah, I'll put in my 2 cents on this one really quick, guys. It's one of those positions you need to get production out of when you draft at a higher position. Greg Dulcich, 3rd round. This is going to be his now drafted in 2022. This will be his 3rd year. This is his year, and we need to go ahead and we're, as Trevor said, where we're sitting with Cap and Jody as well, where we're sitting in cap, where we're sitting in draft positions. We don't have we can't rely on our pocketbook in order to buy our way out of all these solutions. I think we have to run kind of with Greg Dulcich and see if we have anything as he comes back from injury, guys. It's one of those positions I don't see us necessarily chasing in any particular direction. Scoops, I know that we're running long. Thanks for sticking with us, buddy. Where are you at on your number 5?
Oh, I didn't. Did you want me to jump in on tight end? Do you want me to go right to number 5?
Did I miss your tight end? Yeah, go right ahead. I'm sorry, buddy. That's right.
No, you're good. You're good. So I'm not sure that I'd use, just based on where they're at, where they're positioned with their roster. I'm not sure I'd use a 1. I do like Brock Bowers, but 1, I'm not sure I'd use a 1 on a tight end, and 2, I'm not even sure he'd fall to where they're positioned. But at the 2nd, or if they can get him in the 3rd round, definitely a good value play there. I'd go for Jatavian Sanders, who's from Texas. Pretty consensus that 2nd best running back, or 2nd best tight end in the draft. He does have that vertical threat ability with also some more than passable blocking abilities as well.
Right on. It's funny you said the name and a highlight flashed in my head of watching him play. So I'm gonna have to go back. I got a lot of tape that I need to watch. I need to get caught up on. But I appreciate the heads up. Sanders out of Texas might be an opportunity in later rounds. Now on to your 5, and hope maybe lining with our 4.
Now on to my number 5. So when I looked at coverage as an issue for them, I saw they had one guy that I think that looked like he was good in coverage last year. It was Kareem Jackson. Missed half the season, and it's going to be 36 this coming season. I liked now you were talking about 1st round picks. I like Cooper DeYoung there at number in that 1st round. Top covered corner in the draft, came out of Iowa, took most of his snaps out wide as a left side corner, but he was also utilized on special teams. So I know special teams wasn't a huge issue for them, but always a place you could use more bodies as well.
Right on. So cornerback made your number 5 on your list, man. This was our honorable mention, guys. Made a couple of our lists. So let's go around the horn really quick. Albert, do you have a solution, or was cornerback on your list as well?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think we are pretty decent on corners. I think we're good on corners.
Yeah. Obviously we have our some of our guys already, right? Pat Surtain is a guy that we're going to be able to lock in on. McMillan's back there. We have K1 that's supposed to be coming back as well. So we do have some guys in that room. Trevor, what are your thoughts? Did cornerback? I can't remember if cornerback made your list. I know it made somebody's list because it made an honorable mention. What are your thoughts on that position quickly?
Yeah, the corner did make my list. I think it's in-house. I think it starts in-house with Riley Moss. You got to see some production out of him. He's a guy that just you didn't see the field enough this year, and that's on Sean Payton. That's one of my knocks about Sean Payton is he didn't play Drew Sanders and he didn't play Riley Moss. You ended up trading up for Riley Moss. So I mean that would be helpful to have a 3rd-round pick right now. I'm just saying, but so you spent the draft capital on him. He needs to play. I think he plays right next to Pat Surtain this coming season. You need to see production from him. George Payton said in his end of the season presser that he said he sees Riley Moss as a starter. So and Alex Forsythe as well. So these are guys that 2nd-year guys that are really going to have to start stepping up. And wherever Denver's at with their cap and everything right now, and then where they're limited this offseason, you're going to have to start seeing some of these rookies from this past season start stepping up in the year 2.
Since you said it really quick, Michael Ronquillo saying Alex Forsythe is the future center for the Broncos. He's also coming in and saying tight end Brock Bowers is his favorite NFL prospect so far. Head over to Jody, man. I want to get your thoughts on this as well. What are your thoughts as we'll round up our top 5 after this?
Sorry. Yeah, I thought it was really high. Cornerback 2 behind Pat Surtain was not – I mean, Fabian played all right, but down the stretch he was getting burned a lot. And I'll agree with Trevor. We need to see what Riley Moss can do. We traded up for him. We gave up picks for him. That's probably the easy answer. But if not, it's high up on the list because people will just not throw it Pat Surtain. So
yeah, it's got to be up there on that list. I understand it, man. Whenever you have that other one corner, you want to make sure you're solid on the other side. If you only have one good corner, you're going to be in big trouble. This is one of those positions, though, that I'm in agreement with a couple of you guys, and like I brought up before, I think we need to rely on what we've done and where we're at. You know, Albert mentioned that we have a couple of guys. You know, I think we're good in that spot. I mentioned McMillan. Yes, we need Drew Sanders, who we traded up. Or no, sorry, Drew Sanders. Riley Moss, who we traded up for and got in the third round. I don't think we traded up, but we got in the third round, Mr. Riley Moss. A guy that I don't want to forget about, guys, a guy that was pulled really early, was relegated to special teams, but played well the year before in his rookie season, was Damari Mathis. And I think that there's a possibility that Damari Mathis, through training camp, can still come back and still end up competing for the other side with Riley Moss and see who wins out over there. It's one of those positions I think we'll have to kind of stay put with the guys we have on our roster. Our number
may go to my number one if you trade Pat Surtain to move up and go to quarterback.
That was part of my mindset with picking that, was that knowing that that's still potentially on the table.
Yeah.
I think that that's getting overblown. They're not trading Pat Surtain, but if for some reason he gets moved, that may go higher for me than D-line, really.
Oh, yes. It would have to rocket up near the top. I think for a lot of us, you know what I mean? You go from having an all-pro, potentially future Hall of Famer, the way his career is going, to being gone. You had to find a replacement pretty quick.
See, and that is what I don't get. So you trade a first rounder for a first rounder cornerback? That doesn't make sense for me.
Well, if you traded Pat Surtain, you would get multiple first-round picks, is the thing, and maybe even some kickers down and in the mid-rounds as well. So if that's the case, you're talking about trying to reset your franchise and reload and almost starting from scratch new, because when you ship out one of your top players that is a potential Hall of Famer, that's got to be the message. It's got to be the message. I don't know what else way to put it. You are resetting at that point. You're not a piece away if you get rid of your all-pro.
Caleb Williams is the next Andrew Luck, John Elway.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly what you would have to be doing. Number 5 for us, guys. I'll start with Jody. Edge rusher / pass rusher was what we had at number 5. Jody, where's the solution? What do we do in 2024? And then we'll get up on out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out for an extra long show tonight.
It's not as high on my list, only because I think Baron Browning coming back is the X factor. He was coming off that injury. And I predicted last year before the injury he was a double-digit sack guy. But that being said, you didn't have a guy that had double digits. You didn't get a lot of sacks towards the end. You had a lot of quarterback hurries and stuff, which they say is almost sometimes better than a sack, but you weren't getting home. So you need somebody elite that can get you double-digit sacks.
Yeah, not high on your list, but maybe one that was, and I missed it, so we'll double dip real quick and get everyone's opinion. We had wide receiver at number 4. How do you feel about wide receiver, your thoughts there, and where we should go? Answers there.
It's not as high for me if they bring back the guys that are currently on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut Sutton and trade Jody for whatever reason, it's high because you're probably going to cut Tim Patrick. You haven't seen him in 2 years. Brandon Johnson's raw. Little Jordan Humphreys, I think, could be something, but you didn't play him enough. And then after that, you don't have anyone on the roster. You have Jalen Virgil, who's coming off an injury.
Marvin Mims.
Marvin Mims, who still can't run the full route tree. But even at that, I don't really see Mims as ever being a true 1. He's a good 2.
Okay.
But so yeah, it's high. That's why I still don't. It's Sutton or Jody, whichever route they go. I don't see both of them gone.
There you go. Scoops, we had wide receiver 4, edge rusher 5. We'll group those guys together as we go up and down across this panel. What are your thoughts on those two positions?
Wideout didn't stand out too much to me when I was looking at places for the roster to improve. I don't think that there's ever a team that, if they can get their hands on another good wideout, would resist the opportunity if the package is right. But if I'm prioritizing it, I'm just, some of the other things that I think are glaring holes. Like, again, I don't see why you would move off of a Sutton or a Judy, and now I'm a Judy fan because I'm an Alabama fan, but just in terms of, I think that he still is very much a lot of the player that he was when they took him where they did a couple years ago. And again, I think moving off one of those guys, so now you're trying to build a more competitive team by removing a weapon for potentially a new and potentially, went in the head, or whatever the saying is, quarterback. I don't think necessarily that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, wide receiver did make our list. I think it's just a place that we would like to see some improvement just overall, especially when it doesn't come below that Cortland Sutton. That's where it's tough. Really quickly, though, your thought on edge/pass rush as well, Scoops.
Yeah, excuse me. So had I not, gone a little bit off script and put head coach at number 1, I probably would have made room for edge rusher on here. It's something that I would probably say I would look at in the draft, just because I know there's a lot of good pass rushers available. But if you want to just come up with someone who's going to be available on, let's say, like the free agent market, I mean, first name that comes off to me just because of his youth, and I feel like that's where they're going to want to go, because I don't think that they believe that they're huge contenders this coming year. A young guy who's available at the position would be Bryce Huff.
Yes. Yep. Good
Coming
name.
off,
Good name.
From New York.
Agreed, man. Agreed. It'll be interesting, man. We have a mix, so I'm gonna bring it down to Trevor. Wide receiver, edge rusher. Take off, buddy. We got we're running late as it is, so let's see if we can get through these two. Get to Albert next. So.
Yeah. So for me, wide receivers up there. You're not getting much production from any one of your receivers. I mean, Cortland Sutton was arguably your number 1 guy, but he's not a 1,000-yard receiver. He didn't finish 1,000 yards this season. Now, he was great in the red zone. He's a great red zone threat, but I worry about him being a number 1 going forward in general. And he's starting to age a little bit. He's 28 years old. Jared Jeudy, where's his production? I don't see it. There's no production there. Yeah, he's always going to have upside. How long are we going to continue to say that Jared Jeudy has upside? I mean, I think you have to shake up the wide receiver room. This is one of the most expensive wide receiver room in the NFL. And now you have to start switching up at some point in time. They got to get younger. And that's where they need to get, and need to get playmakers. I mean, we talk about with Russell Wilson all season this past year on our shows. You got to get playmakers. Well, it starts with the receiver as well. I think you have to start, and you go in a different direction at wide receiver. You don't have enough right now, and that's why I think this team. Well, one of Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton will be gone. I just don't know which one, but one of them will be gone. It's kind of bold taker, maybe not. Maybe not, but that's just my opinion. Edge rusher, for me, I think you have enough guys in the room, a lot of B kind of tier edge rushers that can get to the quarterback. I think, Baron Browning, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, those 3 guys in particular, I think are B tier edge rushers that can get you 8, 9, 10 sacks. I just think part of the problem is you're 5th most blitz team in the NFL, and so you're blitzing a ton, and it's because you don't have a defensive line. So that kind of transfers back to the defensive line. You've got to get upgrades to the defensive line. This is the position for me that, with edge rusher, that is not a priority right now. And I guess the biggest question we go into the draft is there a clear number 1 A-tier edge rusher in the draft? That would be question number 1. If there is, maybe you do take him at 12. But if not, I think you need to pass up that opportunity and trade back to get more picks so you can get multiple different players. I think there's multiple different edge rushers in this class that you can get, and not just at pick 12, in my opinion. But I don't think edge rushers is high. I think wide receiver, I think it's probably top 3 for me.
Right, there you go. Mile High Dutchie, man. You've waited. We got two different positions. We got that wide receiver. We got that edge rusher / pass rush. Talk about them both, buddy. Get us out of here as far as this top 5 is concerned, buddy.
So on wide receiver, if you get Brock Bowers, you can let Jody go, and you can handle it with the wide receivers you have, because if you have an extra weapon on tight end, it will open up gaps for others. And Marvin Mims should start getting a bigger role, and with little John Humphrey getting a little bit bigger role, I think we're just fine. Edge rusher. If you don't do anything on the defensive line, then I would say get an edge rusher. But if you shore up the defensive line, then the pass rushers we have are good enough. Because right now they had to pick up a lot of stuff for the defensive line as well, and it just doesn't work that way. And that's why you cannot get hit home, because the defensive line cannot hit home to the quarterback. So for me, the defensive line is much bigger than the edge rush. If you don't do anything on the edge rush, then get a guy like what they have at the Raiders, or a Micah Parsons type person. Because then it makes sense.
I agree. Quick rundown on my these two positions from me, Albert, Trevor, Jody, Scoops. Wide receiver, I think we can add a little bit of talent. Yes, we need Marvin Mims to stand up. I think that Judy and Sutton and Mims would be a great combo, but like Trevor, I don't know if we're going to be able to get all three of those guys on the field. I think one of those guys is probably gone, obviously Mims not being one of those guys. To add in a guy like a T. Higgins or something like that, I think would be a great addition to this roster and give us a little bit of depth and give us a little bit of experience. That way you're not having to go that way in the draft route, because we don't have the picks. As far as that rotation of edge rushers go, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to invest in round 2 pick Nick Benito and expect him to stand out, and continue to show out, because he's done fantastic. You look at a guy like Jonathan Cooper, who's went all the way to the top, and then Baron Browning, who was a big guy. I think, again, guys, not having all the pieces and the parts, we're going to have to find ways to make this roster, and that's another position that I think we kind of had to stay put, and we're sitting good as far as those contracts are concerned as well. So don't go out there and make a big mistake and try to sign a big guy, especially when edge. I'm going to agree with what Albert says. You fix the interior, you're going to go ahead and you'll get more production from that edge as well. So as well as your linebacker, maybe is.
One thing
another position that we didn't end up get to. Yeah, go ahead, Jody.
One thing with edge is it covers up a lot of. I mean, if you have an elite pass rusher, he covers up a lot of holes. You can get to the quarterback, and you make him plays. He covers up a lot of holes.
I agree. The only thing I just don't like is the way that we got ran on. Like you said, we were like a human sieve, and I think that interior defensive line is much more important to me. And I think because of that, you'll see a better production from that trio of edge rushers, just being able to absorb what was happening in the middle, and those guys needing to get double teamed. I can only imagine DJ Reader, as Scoops brought up, as a guy that I absolutely loved. A guy like that in the middle of that defensive line, if that was a possibility, that's a big spend. But if that's a guy like that in the middle, boy, that changes the whole defense.
Didn't we try to get him a few years ago?
I think you're right, buddy. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Guys, Albert and Michelle, and this is why Albert was waving in the background. Albert, do you want to announce this?
Yes, Michael the Ronk sent us 5,000 stars.
Oh, my goodness. Michael Ronquillo, my goodness. Royalty beyond royalty. Sir, I can't even express it, buddy. Can't express the appreciation. Wow, dude. Wow. Holy cow. That's going to take a second to kind of absorb and bring that all in, buddy. That is amazing. Michael Ronquillo, thank you so much. The Ronk, the royalty, the king, top of the heap, buddy. Holy cow, buddy. I appreciate you so much, buddy. We're going to have to figure something out for you, because you are top of the heap, buddy. I can't believe it, man. Thank you so much. Guys, a great opportunity to maybe for just a slight segue, like, share, and subscribe. Guys like you, Michael Ronquillo, we would love to get out, not because we want 5,000 stars, because obviously you appreciate the content, you appreciate what we're doing here, you appreciate the message, and I think there's a lot of other Bronco fans that could come in here and appreciate it like you do. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm taken aback. I don't even know where to go from there, man. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much. Boy, we do need to get out of here. That being said, guys, way late. Our hour and a half show. This always happens when we bring on a great guest like Scoops, man. I appreciate you, man. So that
Thank
being
you.
said, Scoops, I'm gonna give you the first final word as we're getting out of here. Tell us a little bit about you, your show, and say goodbye, man. Not a final goodbye, man. We
No.
got to get you back on, but say goodbye.
Appreciate it. No, just want to say thank you guys, Trevor, Keith, Jody, Mr. Duchy, everybody. Had a lot of fun tonight. It was really cool to get to finally be on and have this dialogue with you guys. I think Keith wanted to bring on Payton Manning. He looks at me, he's like, "Oh, he's got the same forehead. It'll be a good way to go." No, in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to following this offseason with y'all, and can't wait to see what happens from here. But thank you guys very much. And I don't know if Let's Ride is still a thing, but if it is, let's ride.
I don't know if it is. Maybe it might be a little bit out of tune on that one, but that's all right, man. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you, man. Always appreciate your knowledge. And like I said, man, not the last invite for you to be on this show, man. We'll have to get you back in here and get you back in here soon. I think it might be fun as we start to get into this combine draft talk. I know you know your stuff in and out as far as some of these guys. So
you mentioned real quick, but you mentioned my show. You mentioned my show. I'm going to be doing a not yet, obviously, but I'm going to be doing a mock draft one of these weeks. Once we start to get more stuff going on and we start to see who is going where on free agency and trades and whatnot. So you mentioned just the draft. That is something that I'm planning to do as well.
Absolutely. That's cool, man. We'll check it out. You guys should all check it out, man. Scoops does fantastic stuff, man. If you haven't checked him out, check out Scoops over on the K&K Sports Show on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch. I mean, you guys are all over the place, man. You can check out Scoops. And what's the scoop, man? That's the name of the show. Saturdays, 9 Eastern time, 7 Mountain Standard Time. Do the math if you're not in one of those two time zones. And Jody, we'll head to you next, buddy. Say a little goodbye and as we head on out of here.
I'm just counting down the days till we get a rest decision. Other than that, excited for baseball to start. It's kind of a lull right now. I hate not really having any sports going. I mean, Nuggets are in a lull, Avs are in a lull, so just kind of in a lull period. But
yep,
the rust clock. That's the big one. It'll put to bed a lot of these conversations. Who's our quarterback, who's not. And we should know in less than a month.
You said that, and I have a vision of Jody's office or his wherever the clock is, and it's Russell Wilson
clock,
the Russell Wilson clock with the arms. I mean, it's
counting down and stuff.
counting down on the Russ clock, man. Hey, man, we're all on bated breath, and gosh, about every time. I'll be honest, man. I thought I was on the percentages way low as far as Russ coming back, and then. Sean Payton comes back in with, "Oh yeah, Russ wants to be back, and we're got a good relationship. We talk." Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to think, man. That Russ clock is ticking, though. We'll be on it every single show.
So I was watching TV last night, and I had my Russell Wilson for MVP ticket from Vegas posted on the wall, and I noticed it, and I thought I probably can get rid of that now.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, man. I'll tell you what, at one point there was a little stretch, man. That ticket was looking pretty good, and we were talking about that ticket, man. So just goes to show where Sean Payton, where his mind might be at, is where he's going through his evaluations, and he doesn't know college quarterback numbers yet. He needs to take into consideration Russell Wilson. Trevor, some goodbyes from you, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, for tuning in the show again tonight, and for all you guys that watch, aren't able to watch live again. Thank you guys for watching the show, and like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Scoops, thanks for coming on, man. You've really rocked it. You're great. Your show is great. You're legendary, man. I mean, again, appreciate everything, all the work you do, and again, we love to have you back on this offseason because it's going to be a heck of a ride. I'm not ready to say let's ride, but a heck of a ride. That's what I'm.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being on it with all of y'all.
Appreciate you, Scoops. I also want to give a shout out to a little bit of history today here in Colorado. Jenny Kavnar, leaves the Rockies for the A's to be their first female primary play-by-play voice in MLB history. So little history for you, different sport, but a little history for you because again, we're Colorado, sports network. So just I think it's pretty awesome that happened. So shout out to Jen Kavanaugh, and I think she's going to do great. She's going to rock it out. So thank you guys for everything, and go Broncos as always.
Go Broncos as always. Albert, Mile High Dutchie, man, getting us almost out of here. I'll say a little quick goodbye, but what do you got for Broncos country out there, buddy?
Thanks, Scoop, for being on the show, and we're looking
Thank you
forward
so
to for the next time you go on, and maybe we get to learn a little bit more about yourself at that show. I also want to thank all people who participated in the comments, and especially, of course, Michael Ronquillo with 5,000 stars. That is amazing. We also want to thank Ernie, Pearl, my lovely wife Michelle, Kenny, Roy, Travis, Graham, Kurt, Jeremy, Martin, Clayton, and Roger. They all participated in the chat, and I cannot say it enough. It makes our show so much easier if you're commenting with us, because sometimes we might hop topics because we see a very interesting comment because of it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, guys, we missed you. It had been over a week since we saw you. We missed a couple opportunities to talk with you. And we're glad you're back. That's being said, man, we did have a jam-packed show. I know there was a ton of comments I didn't get to, but as Albert says, thank you for everyone who participated. Thank you for everyone that was in the chat. Guys, we go back. I read these comments. Sometimes I'm liking, sometimes I'm commenting on them. Sometimes I'm chuckling and laughing. You guys are fantastic. You're the best. Remember, this is the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. So check out both of those, guys. You can check out Denver Bronco Roundup or Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. You can take us on the go. All you have to do is, jump onto your favorite Apple podcast or your Spotify podcast, download the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. You'll get us on the go. Denver Bronco Roundup. Take it with you. Got to give another big shout out to our first time, our sponsor for the first time, Morgan Trinkets. Thank you, Morgan Trinkets. Guys, again, for all your Southwest jewelry and pottery or your estate gold at wholesale prices, you need to check out Morgan Trinkets on Facebook. Guys, I dropped that comment in as well. Guys, we are going to take a little bit of a step back. I will give you that. We were used to do that Sunday postgame show, but now the Denver Bronco Roundup is going to be every Tuesday and every Friday. So watch for that just around the corner, guys, on Friday. 7 p.m. as always, guys. That's Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Check out the Denver Bronco Roundup. We'll be back with all new content, guys. And now that we've got all this big agenda and an hour and a half show since we missed you so much out of the way, guys, we should be able to get to a little bit more into your comments. And like Albert says, we love it when you guys guide the conversation. It's some of our funnest shows when you do so. So, guys, we got to get out of here. Hour and a half in, way too long. But thank you guys so much. Make sure keep your boots or your feet right there in the stirrups. Keep your guns in your holsters. And, of course, as always, keep the Broncos in your heart. Thanks, guys. We're out of here. Have a great night.